Hey guys, so a somewhat requested video from you guys has been tier lists of all the exotic armor. So today and this week, hopefully, I will be doing such lists for all the exotics in the game for every class. We'll start with Titan, and I'll have reviews for Hunter and Warlock armor very soon. I'm going to be judging their usefulness in both high-end PvE, so that's stuff like the Raid, the Weekly, the Nightfall, and also their PvP merits for the Dark Below as of patch 1.1.1. Not only that, but each piece will be compared to each other in usefulness since you can only equip one exotic. I guess we'll start at the bottom tier and move our way up, starting with the absolute worst of the worst, introduced in the Dark Below, the Mark 44 stand-asides. First off, they come with Strength, which is a bad start, seeing as it's the weakest stat overall and pretty weak for Titans. The heavy ammo bonus is always going to be good, but things like the Crota's End raid boots have that as a bonus, and don't cost you an exotic slot. Finally, the main bonus gives you an additional 3 seconds on the time for shoulder charge, which is a very seldom used thing in PvE and used somewhat in PvP. However, compared to the other exotics, this extra 3 seconds is not worth the exotic slot in the slightest, and is generally considered a very weak bonus. There is basically no reason to ever use these things unless you need to hit level 32 and you don't have the raid boots. Helm of Inmost Light is a bottom tier PvE helm, but a pretty decent striker focused PvP helm, but only because of the main bonus. It has Strength as a stat, once again, not great. Reducing melee cooldown when picking up an orb is a very specific bonus and not a very good one at that, but increased melee attack speed is always going to be good. Getting Death from Above and Headstrong for Fist of Havoc is pretty good, but not necessarily needed for high-end PvE, as it's not that hard to estimate the distance you need for a Fist of Havoc. This is strictly going to be a PvP helm, but even then it's a helm that isn't going to give you a large edge versus the competition. If you're the kind of person who likes Death from Above, you're probably someone who is actually going to take the bonus in the subclass. An Insurmountable Skullfort used to be basically ignored as a helm, but the only reason it is getting any recognition now is because of the Crota encounter itself and its utility within it. It comes with Discipline, good start, but the bonuses are very melee focused, which is generally not something you should be doing frequently in high-end stuff. Melee hits replenish grenade energy is a decent bonus for PvE depending on the situation, but is basically garbage in PvP. Replenishing health when you pick up an orb is a below average bonus, although once again, it is very good for the Crota fight itself. However, it is possible to get that bonus on a raid helm, which doesn't take up an exotic slot. The main bonus gives you transfusion from the striker tree, and you also spawn with melee energy. Spawning with melee energy in PvP really doesn't matter. Yes, there are occasional times that having transfusion proc in PvP can be helpful, but I don't think it's valuable enough, especially considering getting transfusion in your subclass isn't a completely horrible choice to begin with if you really wanted it. In PvE, the respawning energy is useless, and again, taking transfusion in PvE is probably the best option in that column. Overall, this helm has a very specific utility, but that utility can still be easily acquired from the striker tree without significant loss. No backup plans also fall into the strength and melee category that makes them not too amazing, but they are very specialized. Unfortunately, this specialty, while cool, isn't really possible to be utilized that much in high-end PvE or PvP. They have strength on them, not great. Increased melee attack speed and increased reload speed of special weapons are both very good bonuses. The bonus of increased force barrier duration is very situational. It does have great synergy with stuff like Relentless and all the possible upgrades for Disintegrate itself, which can create some very cool gameplay situations. However, in high-end PvE, meleeing things is probably the last thing that you want to be doing. In Crota's End, arguments can be made that they're a pretty good choice for the Abyss and even the Bridge due to Thrall having pretty low health and the fact that they are easily punched. But other than that specific scenario, I don't think these are useful enough to warrant using over the other exotics, as if you never use your melee, you never see a benefit. In PvP, you need to land the kill with the melee attack, which means the engagement is over before you get the benefit of using the shield, and it's rare that the shield is going to save you. It's different from Flame Shield from Warlocks because they only need to hit you, not actually kill you, and that's what ends up being their lifesaver. The Glasshouse is a helm that I really want to like more, but I just can't. It comes with Intellect, which is a good start because its main bonus is related to your super. Increased melee attack speed is great, increased super energy from kills is great, so we're fine there. The main bonus is that it makes Blessing and Weapons of Light last longer. The reason I don't like this bonus is because most organized groups don't have a problem with refreshing their Blessing or Weapon buff. In regards to raiding, Vault of Glass doesn't have many situations where you're straying away from a Ward of Dawn. Crotazen doesn't really have that either. In the Abyss, you're either running away to the next lamp, or at the very end where you're constantly in a Ward of Dawn. The Bridge, you'll be crowded around one for Ogres, and for Crota, you're all typically standing in one spot, never needing to move. So the better the awareness of your group and the smarter your group is, the less useful this bonus is. Most people will refresh their buff frequently anyway. In PvP, you're probably using Armor of Light, which isn't affected by this helm at all. If this helm gave you the Illuminated bonus on top of what it does now, then it might be something that I can get behind, but right now, it'll stay mid-tier. Crest of Alpha Lupi is a mid-tier exotic. It's subclass neutral, which means it's good with either subclass. It has Intellect, which is good as well. More special ammo is a great bonus, more auto rifle ammo is a good bonus, although as of patch 1.1.1, auto rifles did get hit with a nerf and are definitely not as popular as they used to be. This is the Titan's Keeper of the Pack exotic, where you are revived faster, you revive your teammates faster, and your super spawns additional orbs for your team. This obviously excels in 3v3 PvP, as being able to res that much faster really matters in PvP, where things happen so quickly. I'd argue that this is what you should roll with when doing 3v3 PvP, especially because special weapons are so prevalent right now that any sort of additional bonus to that is great. In 6v6 PvP, it loses essentially its entire luster. In PvE, it definitely can have its moments and is more of an insurance policy for stuff like the weekly and the nightfall to really make sure that you can res quickly and safely. I know it has come in handy at times during nightfalls as things can get really hectic really quickly. In raiding, the resurrection bonus is not nearly as valuable, minus some pretty rare situations. Generally, you can time when you're going to res someone in the raid, and you tend to create a safe environment in the first place. It doesn't have no value, just not as much. Although in the hard mode raid, it doesn't have much value. Now we're moving into the top tier of Titan exotics, starting with Helm of Saint-14. It comes with Intellect, which is a great start as it plays into the main bonus. Similar to Glasshouse, it comes with increased melee attack speed and more super energy per kill, which are both phenomenal bonuses. The main bonus is that if anything walks into your Ward of Dawn, it is blinded. This is an absolutely fantastic bonus, useful basically everywhere, serving as some of the best crowd control in the game, if not the best besides outright killing things. It's especially useful in Crota's End hard mode as things can get very overwhelming very quickly. It's great for the Abyss if things get bad, which they will. It's great for Deathsinger blocking off doorways when killing the Shriekers. It's great for Crota for blocking off Thrall on the bridge during Ogres. In other general PvE, it's great for any bad situations that you might run into because it gives you time to recover. Nightfall, weekly, anything. It's an insurance policy. In PvP, it's great for punishing anyone who dares try to challenge you in your own Ward of Dawn. Ward of Dawn in PvP is unfortunately a giant, hey, use your super on me button, which is another problem in itself, but for those who attempt to challenge, it will give you a significant advantage, especially with Armor of Light. The Armamentarium is still a top tier exotic and will continue to be as long as it is upgradable. It uses Discipline as a stat, which is great considering the bonus. The bonuses are boring, but incredibly good, more special and heavy ammo. Having a second grenade, even if it doesn't recharge at the same rate as only having one, is still very, very useful. In Vault of Glass, it was incredibly helpful as a Defender Titan for killing Minotaurs quickly and reliably. In Crota's End, it doesn't have as much utility, but it's still very helpful for stunning gatekeepers during the bridge encounter. In PvP, this continues to be one of the best, if not the absolute best option. Double lightning grenades are incredibly useful and lethal, double magnetic grenades as well. Being able to have an almost endless supply of grenades in PvP always makes you a threat in the control game type. For 3v3 though, I would probably use Crest unless I was playing Salvage, in which case it might be a toss-up since Salvage is control-like in that you have to go to a specific point. Still, the Armamentarium is a piece of top quality armor that will continue to be useful until it is no longer upgradable, and even then will continue to be powerful in regular Crucible. Ruin Wings, introduced in the Dark Below, are also a top tier exotic. Unfortunately, it uses strength as a stat, which is not a good start. Increased special weapon reload speed is great, melee hits reducing grenade cooldown is alright, but the main bonus is outstanding for PvE. More heavy ammo drops, and more ammo comes in each drop. Now, I will say that Ruin Wings can be inconsistent at times. Occasionally, you will go a very long period of time without any heavy ammo, only for the game to dump a ton on you all at once. Most of the time, though, you should be fine. Each heavy ammo pack is going to fill up about half your maximum ammo capacity, so that's 3 to 4 rockets instead of 2, many more bullets for heavy machine guns. The reason these are so good is because it lets you be at your maximum power and maximum potential way more of the time compared to normal. Being able to spam rockets and heavy machine gun shots, well, it's much better than being limited to your primary weapon. That is why they are so good for PvE, a very simple reason, but a very powerful reason. For PvP, I like them a little less so because if you don't end up getting heavy ammo in that game, then they're basically a waste. As for the Ruin Wings versus Armamentarium debate, I settle it very simply. Ruin Wings for PvE, Armamentarium for PvP. The PvE benefit that Ruin Wings brings is much more than the Armamentarium for most situations. An extra grenade is nice here and there. Non-stop heavy ammo is nice here and everywhere. In PvP, like I said, if you're not able to get heavy ammo on spawn, Ruin Wings are a waste, plus they have strength. Armamentarium is basically your way of always having your grenade, and Lightning Grenade in Control, which is probably the most popular game mode, is incredibly strong. Anyway guys, that is your tier list for the Titan exotics. As you can see, the 3 that you're gonna want to aim for are Helm of Saint-14, Ruin Wings, and the Armamentarium. It's not that all the Titan exotics are bad, it's just those 3 bring way more benefits and value to the table more of the time. I generally use Ruin Wings over Saint-14 for most things like Nightfall, the Weekly, even the Crota fight. Saint-14 is still very good, it just depends on how good you are as a player and how good your team is that will determine its value, because if you're good enough, you won't ever really need the crowd control of Saint-14. That's going to do it for me though. Hunter and Warlock reviews are coming very soon. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.